So, hey everyone, we are very excited to do our very first ever tarot unboxing video. I've just purchased my second deck, and this is it here, the Santa Muerte Tarot, Book of the Dead. Beautiful box, still wrapped, still sealed. We're going to open it up. We're going to run through these cards, have a look at the quality, have a look at each card. Yeah. So my second deck ever, my first deck was the Lightseers deck, which I'm totally in love with. It's it's my favorite deck by far. But I was so drawn to this one when I found it online, and I just thought I have to have it. I've heard it's a really powerful deck. I've heard it has a lot of really strong energy. So we're going to unbox, and then we'll see how that goes. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so it's coming in sort of a shrink-wrapped packaging. We're going to try not to damage anything. Get that plastic off there. That. Okay, so there's the box. Very glossy cardboard. Very sturdy as well, I've got to say. I don't feel like you need to rebox these cards into something else. They seem to fit in here quite nicely. What I do like about this one is that the top opens up like this, which is pretty cool, which is unusual, not your standard box opening. So the lid comes off like that, which is funky. Inside here we have obviously the box itself, and then we have the cards shrink wrapped, and we have the Santa Muerte Book of the Dead little guidebook. So it comes in a few different languages, I see: English, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and it looks like a Russian. So yeah, very interesting. And then obviously intro, a little bit about the tarot, but a little bit about each card. Not much, it's quite a short little paragraph in each card, which is fine. And then on each card we get in something called the Advice of the Dead. So for example, for the Magician, do not waste time, act. You can trust your own abilities without delay, but carefully evaluate where you aim your potential and the object of your choices. So a little bit of advice on each card, which is pretty cool. The English section, not very long, because there's 4 languages in this book. Okay. Then at the end of the card descriptions, we have Ouija, the Oracle of the Dead. That's quite interesting. Some spreads. Nice. We'll look at that a bit later. And then the card of the day, what the dead advises us. So yeah, interesting. Some spreads. And then it switches to the next language. So the English version only for the first 53 pages. So that's your English part of it. The rest is other languages. Okay. All right, so that's the book. Going to run through that a bit later myself, and before I even start using the deck, I like to just at least read through the book one time. I'm a very intuitive reader, so I base it a lot on intuition, but it is important to know what the designer of the cards had in mind when they designed them. Okay, so that's the book, that's the boxing. We get on to the important part, which is the cards. It is quite tightly shrink wrapped, so we don't want to hurt these at all. Be very careful when we open them. Just need to make a tiny little incision just to get a grabbing point there. Get that plastic off. Okay, here we go. Alright. So that plastic comes off there quite easily. Once you get that part you can grab on. Alright, okay. So what we have, the top card is just like a cover card almost. It's got the same backing, but it has the same cover as the box. And the book, just a little cover card. I'm not sure if this has a purpose later. We'll find out when we read the book. But we'll put that aside for now. And then, oh, what's this? Are these all still stuck together? Okay, so it's fairly new, so some of the cards still have sort of the glue sort of sticking together, which obviously will come loose a little bit later as we go through. So we'll just start with the first one. And we'll run through the cards quickly, just a quick overview of what the cards look like. We'll start off with the first one, which is the Fool. And they are sticking together, but that's because I think of the glue on the edging. Cards seem pretty strong. They are a little bit glossy, as you can see. The back is beautiful. Sort of the skulls, it's like a flower-shaped skull, which is pretty awesome. In the background there, you can see a little bit of Mayan sort of influence, which is very much what these cards are based on. And obviously Santa Muerte, if you're not aware, Santa Muerte is a saint, one of the saints that are worshipped by these sort of Mexican, Mayan sort of nations. And she is the saint of death, so Santa Muerte. But a very powerful saint, and she has quite a large following. From what I've reviewed, I've just had a little bit of a research on her through the internet, through YouTube, and she's very much a well-loved and well-followed saint, even though she is a little bit on the darker side. The reason she's so well-liked is because when she comes into play, things happen quickly, which is what people prefer, especially when it comes to sort of getting answers. She gives answers very quickly. So that's useful for tarot as well, I believe. Okay, so moving on, the back is beautiful. We've got the Fool, the very much use of skeletons here. I think skeletons are the theme throughout this deck. So there's the Fool. She's not numbered. The Fool's not numbered as... Oh, they are. There's the number on the side. Okay, so 0 for the Fool. The Fool starting his journey, carrying his little sachet. Got his little sword in there. His guitar. Wearing his sombrero. The sun in the distance. Stepping across the divide. So very much some very, very detailed sort of intricacies happening in the background here and around this card. So I think taking the time to actually study each card very carefully with the butterfly. There's a lot of symbology, a lot of things you can get out of this card when doing a reading. So I think that's what I really, really liked about this when I looked at it online, is the detail in the cards and all the little extra things you can get out of it. So yeah, that's the Fool, and I'll just run through them. These are still stuck together. Okay, number 1, the Magician. Beautiful. So yeah, quite glossy when the light is in the wrong place, but not to the extent that you can't see what's going on if you're using these in a sort of camera situation. Camera or live. Okay, Magician. Look, I mean, the symbology. Look at the hand at the bottom here, which you hardly notice. The seeing eye at the bottom. I mean, there's so much detail, so much information in these cards. If you just take the time, the hanging sword, the cups, really, really stunning. Really stunning. The crystal ball. Okay, number 2. Oh, these are still stuck together, yeah. So just be careful when you do get them. They are a little bit stuck together because of, I think, because of the edging glue. High Priestess. Beautiful. The Empress. So much color, so much beauty. What I loved about and these are the only 2 cards, I know this from a previous review that I saw. These are the only 2 cards that actually join together. They match up like that, as you can see. The Empress and the Emperor sitting together side by side on 2 different thrones, but in one picture essentially. So quite stunning. Could even be this way because the middle makes like an alien. But yeah, would definitely be like that. So number 3 and number 4, the Empress, beautiful red color, the flowers, everything seems to have flowers. All of the characters are these skulls. He's carrying a gun, which is sort of indicating the power that he has, the control, the power. The Hierophant, card number 5, also stunning, beautiful pictures. So much flowers in these things, so beautiful. The Lovers, oh my god, look at that, stunning. The Key, the Lock, such beautiful imagery and such a lot of information in these cards. Wow. The Chariot. Unusual to see, well, not necessarily, I suppose. You see in the Chariot with so many characters in it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different characters in the Chariot, which you don't usually see. usually the driver and the two leading the chariot, but so that's why I say there's so much that can be taken out of these cards once you get used to them. Strength. This is like the wrestler, those Mexican wrestlers. I know they have a specific name, I don't know what it is right now, but yeah, wrestling his demons, taming his demons. Beautiful. The Hermit. I should actually do it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The Hermit, solitude, he's in a coffin, that's quite symbolic as well. Beautiful. The Wheel of Fortune, beautiful. Look at that. Yin and Yang sort of very much defined in this card as well. If you look at the black and the white and the flow of the two. Excuse me. Justice. Oh gosh, these cards, okay. Once I give them a couple of shuffles, they'll be fine. Justice, very much like the Grim Reaper sort of thing. A lot of imagery in the background, a lot of skulls, a lot of flowers, and I'm sure we'll find some things down here that'll be interesting to look at later as well. Carrying the scales of justice and the scythe. Okay, the Hanged Man, also an unusual interpretation of the Hanged Man. Usually the upside down hanging person. This one, the head is removed, but he still has control of it. He's still holding it. Very interesting. There's a lot of stuff happening in the background here as well. Okay, I do like the borders on these, like half border with the numbers and the writing, and then the rest of the card doesn't have borders. That's pretty interesting. I don't think I've seen a deck like this with that sort of design on it. The Santa Muerte, who is essentially, what is she representing? Santa Muerte comes after the Hanged Man, so she would be death. Yeah, this is death, but it's called Santa Muerte for this deck, which makes sense. The Cradle, signifying a new beginning. The pregnant angel of death. Interesting. Very, very beautiful. Little monster there at the bottom in the flowers. I really am going to take time to go through each of these cards in detail. Look at all the little imagery in the background and at the bottom. All over these cards, actually, there is so much information coming out of these. I must say, it's actually quite surreal holding this deck. It's quite surreal handling this deck. I can almost feel the energy coming out of this deck. It's amazing. I really do think I'm going to connect hard with this one. But we'll know for sure when I do my first reading. Okay, Temperance. The one everyone's been waiting for, the Devil. So the Devil coming across quite differently, where all of the others have sort of a human sort of skeleton vibe. The Devil is very demonic, very sort of unhuman skeleton versus all the rest. The two puppets are actually mariachi band members. There's so much. There's a book. There's the guitars. There's the little candles. There's so much information happening here. The Devil, beautiful. This is an unusual one. The Tower, very different to what you would normally see, and it's almost like it makes you feel as if you're disorientated, which is, I suppose, what the Tower symbolizes: disorientation, after change, unable to sort of adapt. Trying to find your way again. Very interesting. And this card has tons and tons of information. I'm definitely going to spend a good 10 minutes on that card alone. The Star. Oh, that's beautiful. Very beautiful. I like the use of water here. The star above the head. Stunning. And there's things in the water that need to be investigated closer a little bit later. The Moon, okay, beautiful imagery of the reflection of the moon instead of just the moon. Very beautiful. The Sun. Lovely. And very happy. This is a very happy vibe. So despite the theme of this deck, which is all about Santa Muerte, the patron saint of death, literally, I mean, some of these just bring out, if you ignore the skeletal vibe, which I think is just the theme, is nothing to to take seriously, in the sense that it's like this is a bad deck or this is an evil deck. There's still so much happiness and so much joy coming out of this card. Just from the use of colors and the use of the flowers. In every single card almost there are flowers. So there's still so much happy feeling coming out of this deck, even though some might feel that it is a little bit darker than what they're used to. Personally, I'm so in love with this already, and I'm not even halfway through. Judgment. Wow, little baby coming out of the coffin there. Stunning. Really beautiful. So much imagery. Little worms. There is tons of information in these cards, guys. Really. The world. Sitting on the world. Look at all the beautiful use of different colored sort of divisions of faces there at the background. So many colors that can be interpreted here. Stunning. Stunning. Okay, that's the major arcana up to the world. We're now on the suits, and I do need to give this a little bit cheese. That's really tight. Okay, so do maybe loosen them up before you go through them, because you might actually miss one if it is stuck together on another card. They're not that thick, they're quite thin, so you might quite easily accidentally have two cards instead of one if they haven't separated properly. So just keep that in mind when you do get your deck, if you get this one. I think with most decks it's the same anyway. Okay, so cups. Alright, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. Ace of Cups, Two of Cups, beautiful, look at that. Wow. Three of Cups, Four of Cups, Five of Cups. This is an interesting one. Very interesting. Definitely going to spend time on that one. Six of Cups. Seven of Cups. Choices. The Eight of Cups. Nine of Cups. On the ship. Headed in a different direction. Beautiful. And the Ten of Cups, which is a butterfly. A blue butterfly. The Page of Cups. So much imagery in the cup, in the spoon, and in the background, just details forever. They're pretty much using a similar background for most of these. Well, from the 10, the sort of background for the page, the knight, the queen stay the same, and the king. So they're sort of using that like blue patterned background there. Page, the knight, the queen, and the king. Okay, so what's interesting when we move on to Pentacles, and if we just scroll through a couple, okay, so the theme of the Pentacles, the color theme here is green, and the theme on the cups is blue. So pulling these cards in a reading, you ought to immediately, without even needing to look at if it's cups or pentacles, you're immediately drawn to the blue as being cups, the green as being pentacles. So stunning use of color here, separating the two. One of Ace of Pentacles, 2, 3, very interesting, 4, 5. I'm going to also be comparing these to my current deck, so comparing side by side, 5 of Pentacles on both decks, just to sort of get as much information as I can, what is familiar, what is not familiar, what is new, what can be added into my readings on when I do the old deck as well, because I feel like that's important, that you have a connection across decks. 6, the clock and the swinging pendulum. 7, really stunning imagery happening here. 8. So the Pentacles very much green themed throughout, a lot of grass, a lot of nature. And then also the 10 being a butterfly again, so we had the blue butterfly for the cups. There we go, we had the blue butterfly for the cups, and we have the green butterfly for the Pentacles. Okay, so green for Pentacles. Moving on to the page, again they're going with the same thing, so the butterfly pattern at the back, keeping that pattern going with the page, the knight, and the knights seem to always be on horses here, the queen, beautiful, and the king. Okay, immediately we can see the color change as soon as we reach 1, so we're going from the greenish yellow of the, what's more like green, I think, for the pentacles, across to immediately to red for wands, passion, fire, energy. The ace, 2, 3 of wands, beautiful, 4 of wands. So this red is such an intensely deep, sexy color. It really is a sexy color. 5, 6 of wands. Look at that. Oh, this is beautiful. 7 of wands. Fire trees, blood trees. Don't know what these are, but they're stunning. 7 of wands. The 8 of wands. Look at that. Speed, alignment. Wow. That is such a beautiful image. 9, harvesting. And then we get the butterfly again, 10, the red butterfly. Every butterfly is different as well, different breed of butterfly. And once again, we stick with that same theme background for the page, the knight on his horse, the queen, and the king of wands. Beautiful. Okay, and then we move on to the swords, and again we have that color change. So we're going from red to a yellow. It's very similar to the green, but it's more yellow in most of these cards. You can get the yellow vibe happening on most of them at the top there. So ace of swords, 2 of swords, scissors. Wow, interesting take on the swords there. 3 of swords. Wow. There is just so much information, guys, in the back of these cards, underneath, in the background, at the top. What's in their hands, where they're looking, what they're doing. There's so much information coming through here. 4 of swords, building a coffin, sealing a coffin. Interesting. 5 of swords, conflict. 6 of swords. 7 of swords. Wow. Hope, reflection. 8 of swords. 9 of swords. Wow. Look at this. The book, the learning. Focus on the mind. Focus on study. Focus on learning new things. Interesting. And then the 10 of swords, the butterfly again. This is like a yellow death head with the little skulls. Beautiful. City in the background. That background pattern again for the page, the knight, the queen, and finally the king of swords. There we go. So interesting here. I'm not sure if the other queens and kings, I just want to have a look at something. Okay, so the queen of wands, no, she's just normal, not seeing anything. But if you look at the queen of swords and the king of swords, they end up with this space, one-eyed space, spade symbol from normal deck of cards. Interesting. So yeah, beautiful. Okay guys, so that was the Santa Muerte Book of the Dead Tarot unboxing reveal. Thank you so much. Don't forget to follow and like the page and subscribe for future notifications on future videos. Okay guys, thank you so much. Lovely to have shared this with you. I was so excited to open this deck. In fact, I had to hold back from just ripping it open and looking at it before I did this video. So now that I've done it, I can actually go back and spend some time on these cards and go through them and yeah, just enjoy them for what they are, and they are so stunning. I definitely recommend this deck, quality wise, imagery wise, color wise. It's just so beautiful, and Literally, people say that it's a very powerful deck, and I can tell you that you almost get that feeling when holding them, when handling them, when touching this deck. You get that sensation that these cards have a lot of energy, and it's not a negative energy, despite the name and despite the theme. Okay, thank you so much. This is King of Cups. You guys have a great evening.